Santa Clarita's hometown station, KHTS, 98.1 FM and AM 1220. I am Kyle Jennings. This is the Hometown Morning Show with Tori and Kyle. Make sure you go to hometownstation.com for all the latest and greatest Santa Clarita has to offer. And speaking of the greatest Santa Clarita has to offer, we have a very special guest in studio.
Special guest, Linda Fleischman. Did I do it right?
You did it perfect.
Yes.
On the first try.
Score. How to have a stress-free mortgage. I first want to welcome you to the KHTS family because you are now part of our Home and Garden extravaganza.
Yes, I am.
You'll be there.
We will be there with a booth.
April 27th and 28th.
Correct.
Free admission. You got to talk to Linda, and here's why. It's all about stress-free mortgage. And as my producer Austin pointed out earlier, isn't that an oxymoron? Because we don't, when we think mortgage, we kind of like already have anxiety. We didn't even go look for a house yet. We just get all shaky. What can you tell us to put that aside?
Well, I hear the oxymoron quite a bit as soon as I say our name, stress-free mortgage. The reason that I can put that out there is because a lot of what people stress about is what they don't know. They're not communicated with. They don't understand how the process works, which is why I wrote the book in the first place, so that people could actually have an idea before they started looking for a house or a mortgage, what they needed to do in advance. But again, it's about communication, understanding, and leading somebody through the process so that they feel more comfortable. And that just takes the stress out.
Linda, the first time I bought a house years ago, I knew nothing. I relied on the realtor to kind of get me through. And she really, I got to tell you, looking back, I didn't do a good job because, I knew there was like the haggle process with the price of the house and back and forth and that whole thing. But when it came time to signing all the papers, I had no idea, it's a stack. It looks like a phone book that you had to keep signing. At the end of signing, my signature didn't even look like my signature anymore. My hand was so tired. I had no idea that kind of thing was coming. And I'm looking through your book. I have a copy of it right in front of me. And by the way, this book is not a phone book. It is a very short read with charts and graphs and diagrams. The first thing, which appeals to me, Linda, because you don't want to have to go through so many words.
Exactly.
You need to get to the point.
Exactly.
One chapter you talk about very early on in the book, credit scores. Mm-hmm. How important are credit scores, and what do we need to do prior to trying to buy a house? Go.
Great question. Credit scores are pretty critical for any loan that you do. So whether you're buying a house, refinancing, whatever loan we do, the first thing we look at is your credit score. One of the things you can do is to make sure you kind of check it before you start the mortgage, or if you know that there's things on there. If you have collection accounts, if you have charge-offs, but don't pay anything off that you owe until you talk to a professional.
How come?
Because sometimes if you pay something off that's been sitting there for years and years and you're like, okay, I'm just going to pay it off and take the hit, what happens is it actually makes it a current account, actually lowers your credit score.
See, again, wouldn't know that, but common sense, what we think as the layperson as opposed to a professional like you, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of it. If I pay it, then it's done and it's out of here.
Correct.
Not the case. See, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, and that's what happens a lot of times is that people look in the internet and they think they know everything, and then they go ahead and pay it off, and then they come to me, and by then their credit score has dropped.
What's the difference between lately our banks and our credit card companies have been giving us access to our FICO score? What is the FICO score compared to just a regular credit score?
Well, that's a great question. I was actually just going to talk about that. That was a great lead-in.
It's you and me. It's you and me, Lynn. Okay.
Yeah. Credit Karma, Discover, all the credit card things that you get with your FICO score are not an actual mortgage credit score. It's called raw data. So they get the data from the credit bureaus and they put it on there, but that's not what's going to happen when I pull for your mortgage. And typically those are much higher than what I pull on your mortgage.
Really?
Yes. It's been pretty consistently lower. Every once in a while I'll see it higher, but it's It's very rare.
So why is that? That's a false sense of hope for us.
Yes.
For us poor people.
Exactly.
We think we're in good shape, and then dun dun dun. So why is there a difference?
The difference is because the mortgages are looking for specific data to see that you're going to repay your mortgage.
Oh.
The other one just says, did you pay your car payment on top? How much do you owe on your credit credit cards? One of the other big things you can do before you start a mortgage is we don't look at, people always think it's how much I owe. It's not how much you owe. It's how each card is to the limit of that card. So for example, you could have a card that's only a $500 limit and you only owe $450. It's not that much money, but that is actually going to really hurt your credit.
Because it's like
85%
of your card
correct
limit.
It's too close to the limit.
So it's the ratio we need to look at. So
Exactly.
let me ask you a question. On that note, let's say we only have a $500 credit for the credit card. Before looking for a home, can we call the credit card company and say, hey, buddies, look how good I am. Can you raise our limit?
Absolutely.
Would that help us down the line?
And it doesn't matter what the limit, what the credit score, what the credit limit is, whether it's 10,000 or 20,000, anything that you are close to that limit, you want to be, the ultimate is really to be at 30% of that limit. So if you keep that in mind, whether you raise it and they allow you to raise your limit or whether you pay it down to that, you should do that long before we're going to pull credit.
And what's long before? What do you suggest?
Typically I would say for that about at least a month, probably a month and a half to be safe.
That's not bad.
No.
That's not bad. I mean, if you're thinking about getting a home, it's usually a good 6 months to a year process. You're thinking about it, then you're getting serious, then you're getting really serious. Also, in the book, I was looking, you've been in the business forever.
Yes.
Feels
like it.
Close to, according to the book, and the book was written a couple of years ago, 25 years.
Yeah.
So add a couple of years to that, right?
Yeah.
The application process, how do we make that, we're seeing apps on TV commercials right now that make it seem like filling out an application is a 60-second process and we get approved right away. How false is that? Leading us down the wrong road. What do you think about those? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. I totally do. It sounds, mortgages actually are very complicated and there's a lot of different pieces to it. And your typical person who's, got great credit and is putting down the 20% and, has a lot of assets and a lot of money, they're probably going to find that process much easier. Most people have a little bit of issues going on somewhere, whether it's, I had a credit issue a couple of years ago, I had a bankruptcy, I don't get paid regularly. A lot of people are self-employed. If you're self-employed and you're looking at tax returns, that may not be the best product for you. There are other products you can do like bank statements. So people who are self-employed, they deposit into their account. We can actually use that account to do their income and give them a loan. So it's a little unconventional. Those types of loans where you have the application, you just do it online really quick, those aren't going to be able to look at those. That's why you need a mortgage professional to really sit down with you, review what you have. Everybody's loan and situation is totally different, absolutely different. So you need a professional to be able to look at it, review it, and say, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's what you can make work. Always want to put you in the best loan I can. But if you can't qualify,
we want that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you can't qualify for it, then I'm going to give you different options that you may not know exist. People still, I keep hearing out, people keep still thinking that it's 20% down. I've done loans with 0% down. I've done them with 3%, 5%. There are a lot of programs out there that people are really unfamiliar with.
We all are, because I've always heard for my entire adult life, you need 20%, you need 20%. It's ingrained. So my suggestion here, and unfortunately our time is up because I have a long list of questions for you, but check out Linda. She's going to be at the Home and Garden Show. You must see, hold up the book to our camera because we're on Facebook right now. We're streaming live. And the book itself is not long. I'm telling you, it's less than 100 pages. And it's 100 pages of get to the point. Here's what you need regarding credit scores, what you don't expect. And it turns everything into what she exactly says. It's stress-free, a stress-free mortgage. If you have any questions, you want to meet her, you want a book, check her out. She's going to be at our Home and Garden, the KHTS Home and Garden Show, April 27th, 28th, free admission. And you're going to be there with your colleagues?
I will be there with my staff, yes.
Fantastic. Linda, what a pleasure. If they can't wait and they want the book like now because they're thinking about doing this.
Yep.
How can we get a copy of the book?
They can go on my website. There's a free download they can do, which is stressfreemortgage.com, or just give me a call, 661-295-0555. Be happy to help you, walk you through anything, or just answer, routine questions.
Fantastic. Linda, thank you. Pleasure having you here.